The story starts with the ambulance blaring while the police investigate a man who recently lost his life from drowning. Then, we were sent into the darkness. A voice could be heard as if it was our thoughts. As if it was always like that. He was wandering around in an infinite long dream. Someone's thoughts echoed loudly, saying, "What is this? It hurts. I can't breathe. Take me away from here." A child's cry can be heard, introducing us to the protagonist of this story. The child is confused, unable to understand what the others was saying at the moment, but he felt the emotions that they were showing as he holds the finger of her mother with his small hands. Moments later, after they have gotten some rest, the child was confused whether this is real. He looked at the woman who seemed to be his mother that breastfeeds him every day. Then he looked at the man stoking the fire, who seemed to be his father. Still confused and unable to talk, he tried to remember what last happened to him, and he remembered that he was shopping for groceries. He remembered that there are days that he would shut inside his house alone. He remembered that he had no friends and that he would spend his time playing games, but that day he wanted to go outside. He remembered that he lived with his saving after quitting his job, and he had no intentions of getting a new one, even though he needed to earn money. He remembered walking in the town within the crowd of people wearing their suits. It gave him an uncomfortable feeling. It was as if he was doing something unfair. Then he recalled about seeing a child walking on the railings of the bridge, thinking, what is the child doing up there? Then a truck passed by so fast that it caused the child to fall into the river. He remembered contemplating about rescuing the child, hesitating that doing so would also put him in danger. But as the thought had crossed his mind, he remembered that he is alone, and no one would be sad, even if he is gone. He decided to rescue her. He swam across the river, getting the child into the riverbank for safety, all while he felt a horrendous cold, the shivers spreading every inch of his body while losing consciousness. He thought that this is okay, and he accepted his fate, knowing that no one would be sad even if he is gone. He suddenly jolted on the realization that everyone here has their previous life's memory, and the more they spend time in this world causes them to lose that memory, or at least that's what he thought. His father talks to him, but he doesn't understand the language. He looked at them carefully, inspecting the resemblance of people in this world and his previous life, noticing that they have the same semblance except for their ears, which are pointed and had fur. He also noticed that their lifestyle isn't modern, making him curious about what his parents' job. Then suddenly water can be heard dripping. His pee trickles down with his satisfied face. He thought that he might need to graduate from using diapers first. Months go by, he started to notice more about his house. It seems it was in a remote countryside. He hasn't seen any visitors and he can only hear wildlife. He looked at the window, wondering about what the outside world looked like in this new world. A year has passed in his new life. He thought that there's much to learn in this new life that he was given. His parents taught him their language by reading him a story until finally he progressed in understanding the story. He realized that his parents now are different from the parents he had in his previous life. He tried to speak while walking towards his parents. Calling out to them, he said, "Papa and Mama," making them both cry. Tears of joy flowed through their cheeks as they heard their son's first words. He realized that this is what it must have been to feel love, as both of his parents hugged him from joy of witnessing his first words. Years go by. We see him near the riverbank staring at the water, trying to remember about his past life. It has been 3 years since he was born, but his memories of his past life never disappeared, contrary to what he thought. So, he just accepted that he will just continue living in his new body with his new name, which is...
Yuri!
His thoughts was cut off by a loud shout. We see his father named Luke Hao, therefore making his name Yuri Hao. Luke Hao spoke again.
Let's go. I have a place that I want to show you.
Yuri came running towards his father, asking him, "Father, where are we going with Kakadori?" The kakadori is the large bird that looks similar to ostriches and serves as a mount for traveling.
You'll see when we get there. Well, do you want to go or not?
His father asked, and Yuri answered that he wanted to. They rode the kakadori to travel in the meadows until they reached their destination. They stopped at what seemed to be a farm.
We're here. This is the place I wanted to show you. My farm.
His father spoke to him while showing him a huge farm. They rode the kakadori through the farm while his father Luke told Yuri about the farm.
Yuri, do you know why I built a farm in this land?
His father asked. The sudden revelation that his father was the person that built this farm surprised Yuri because he knew that his father was only 20 years old. So this much work amazed Yuri and made him ask. Father built this farm? His father Luke was proud, boasting, saying,
Yep, I built every scratch of it.
Yuri then said, Wow, that's amazing. While being surprised at his father that he built the farm in such a young age, Luke returned to the topic by asking Yuri again.
Never mind about that. Answer my question.
Yuri jolted, remembering the question his father asked earlier. Then, Yuri answered, is it because the livestock's cries don't bother the residents in the vicinity? Luke Hao spoke to what he thinks about Yuri's answer.
I see. That's certainly possible. But most of the time they don't care because they are raising their own livestock.
Then Luke then explained to Yuri why he built the farm in this place.
See that? The land is surrounded by mountains, right? Birds don't grow well on windy lands, so the mountain blocks the wind from blowing in the land.
Yuri asked, Does father manage the farm by himself? Luke answered while further explaining about the kakadori farm.
Nope, I have employees. Firstly, Kakadoras are mainly fed a mixture of hay, millet, nuts, beans, and etc. While grazing, they hunt rabbits to eat, but once they learn the taste of meat, they become violent, so we don't give it to them beforehand. However, if there is a special order, then it's a little different.
Yuri asked, Special? Luke answered,
There are customers who prefer violent Kakadoras. In that case, we feed them mouse. Specially, soldiers come for violent Kakadoras. Because if you handle it well, Kakadoras can kill many people with their kicks.
Yuri then thought about the kakadori, thinking that this bird is the ultimate animal weapon. He thought that even if he was to ride such bird, he would avoid a violent one. Then he thought that it might do him well to study the bird, since one day he will inherit this farm. Luke can be heard shouting for Yuri.
Yuri, come here.
Yuri answered while running towards his father, but he was surprised by a larger barn stood before him. The wooden bar was removed and the large barn door was opened by his father. Then Luke encouraged Yuri to go inside. As Yuri steps inside the barn, large wings can be heard flapping around. His eyes stared at the gigantic eagle perched on the wooden beams. Luke spoke.
Were you surprised? This is the bird that I'm mainly taking care of. It is called the king eagle.
Yuri walked towards the king eagle slowly in awe while asking his father, There is a creature like this? His father then said,
It's smart, and once it gets used to you, it'll become friendly, so you should be able to ride it.
Yuri, surprised that this giant eagle can be used as a mount. He shouted, Ride! On that thing! Then his father reminded him about the story he used to read to Yuri.
A heavenly knight appeared in the story, remember? What did you think about it was about?
Yuri turned away his face because he really doesn't understand what that knight role. Luke Hao then blew a whistle which made a king eagle flew down to their level. The king eagle looked closer towards Yuri looming above him, which made Yuri scared, causing him to stumble and fall down. His father reassured him that everything is fine because it is a tradition within their family that upon reaching the age of 3, they would need to ride a king eagle. Then his father said that don't worry because his father is the world's #1 king eagle rider. Moments later, both Yuri and his father mounted the king eagle. His father reminded him that he should never open his mouth while flying the king eagle. As they reached the sky, his father, Luke, stabilized their flight, showing the incredible scenery to Yuri. The beautiful mountains, lush forest, and a long, winding river amazed Yuri even though he's had memories of his past life, saying that it was different than looking throughout the airplane's windows, making him teary-eyed. Luke then grabbed the King Eagle's harness, making it dive down at an incredible speed, which made Yuri hold tight on the King Eagle's saddle. After the dive, as the King Eagle stabilized its flight again, Yuri, feeling amazement and relief, he slouched and leaned his back towards his father. Luke explained why he suddenly surprised Yuri by making the King Eagle dive. Luke spoke.
Some people will never be able to ride an eagle, especially if they're afraid of heights. But now that I've put you to the test, I think you'll be all right.
As they flew above the forest, basking on the sun, gazing on the incredible scenery, Yuri was having trouble getting down the King Eagle. His mind wandered back to the time when he was alone, but suddenly he heard his father's voice.
What's wrong, Yuri? Come on, jump down. Your dad's here to catch you.
Until next time. He was reminded that this wasn't the past anymore, and now that he has his new family, he will never be alone like before. He jumped down to his father's arms, thinking about his new life with Luke and Suzuya as his parents. And this marks the end of Chapter 1. Like and subscribe and click the bell button so you will get future updates.